This episode of the Flush Podcast is brought to you by Walton's, Onyx Hunt, Aluma Trailers, and by Nutrisource Pet Foods. Today I'm joined by Mark Norquist from the organization called Modern Carnivore. We'll find out how Mark uses the need for food to get more hunters in the field, challenges they face recruiting new hunters, lessons he's learned, and so much more. The Onyx Hunt app is one of the most valuable hunting tools that I take into the field every day, and now that app is available in our vehicles. Yep, Onyx did it. They launched Apple CarPlay. That means when you plug your phone into your vehicle, you now have the option to open up the Onyx app right on the dash of your hunting rig. No more holding your phone while driving, which is obviously dangerous, and you get all of the same layers on your vehicle dash that you get on your phone. You can see the aerial view of your location while driving down the road, just like you'd see if you're using your own maps, apps, Waze, or Google Maps. Except now you can find out if the properties around you are open to the public, the landowner's name that owns the land. And if you're in North Dakota, you can see if that land is posted without even touching your phone. To use this feature, simply make sure your Onyx app is up to date. And if you're not an iPhone user, don't worry. Onyx is currently working on the same platform for Android phones too. Apple CarPlay, the latest incredible feature from Onyx Hunt. Always know where you stand and now where you drive with Onyx Hunt. Are you really ready?
I'm really ready.
You're really ready. Okay.
Really ready.
Welcome to another episode of the Flush Podcast. I'm Travis Frank. I'm your host. Brandon Morton, as always, is our producer, and we're here together today, buddy.
We are.
I know. I haven't seen your face in a while. Your beard is looking better than ever.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. I attribute that to laziness.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, there you go.
Absolutely.
Well, some people wish they could have a beard like that. I wish you guys could see Brandon right now. He's looking exceptional. We're both grateful that you chose to listen to us today. Before we get started, I want to remind you that our next live show will be next week, January 26th at Bear Cave Brewing in Hopkins, Minnesota at 7 p.m.
At 7 p.m. We'll be outside in the heated tent.
You confirmed that.
Yes, it's been confirmed. You can bring your dogs. You can, bring your dogs, have some beers.
Yeah, our first show at Bear Cave Brewing, September? Was it August, September? It was right before the start of hunting season, and we did it on their patio outside.
And it was freezing cold, and it was raining.
There was a little bit of rain, a little drizzle. It toughened us up for hunting season, I like to think. But anyway, there were dogs. That was great. Yep. That was a cool thing. And now you can bring your dog back again. They do have I saw it when we were there last time. They've got that outside tent with heaters. So we're not going to be, if it's 20 below outside, it's not going to be 20 below inside that tent.
We will be fine. It's really nice and cozy in that tent area. I've seen it before. It's spacious. It'll be perfect for a show.
Awesome. Yeah. I've got a couple of guests lined up. I will not tell you who it is.
All right.
So there, take that.
Okay. Can you tell me how many guests there are?
Two.
All right.
All right. So you're going to have to come to the show, and I know you're going to come.
I'll be there.
You're contractually obligated.
That's very true.
I think I am too. I'm going to be there. Anyway.
Are you sure you don't have Ron to fill in for you? Maybe he'll take over this.
He's in somewhere a lot warmer than here, which, by the way, oh gosh, like I couldn't believe when somebody said, hey, consider the commute or tomorrow on your way in because we've got another round coming. And I'm like, what? How can we possibly have more snow coming? And yet there's more snow falling as we speak outside. We are in central Minnesota, just west of Minneapolis, in Golden Valley. That's where we are headquartered. And the snow piles outside our office are just like everywhere else in Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota. Like every time I see snow, I just get so mad because I want every single pheasant to survive. I want every deer to survive. And my wife is like so sick of me because she goes, it's so pretty. I'm like, you realize how hard this is on all of the animals right now. And I'm looking at things through the lens of, I want every creature out there to make it. And this is starting to get under my skin a little bit.
I'm going to use that as my solid excuse now every time. I hate winter for 1,000 other reasons, but I sound cooler if I'm like, it's for the animals.
Yeah, I
feel for the animals. I want them to make it.
Yeah, driving across from Kansas last week back home, and it's amazing hunting in no snow last week, how good that felt. Like, I can't even tell you, after the waist-high drifts and cattails and crap up here, going down and just driving out of the snow, and it was like, oh, Felt so good to get out.
So jealous.
And walking I hunted in a t-shirt last week. I mean, it felt so good.
So jealous.
So good.
Awesome.
But then on the way back, just really taking an inventory of what the birds are going through out there. And yes, there are a lot of pheasants out in the fields, a lot right now from basically, there are parts of Nebraska and then into South Dakota, Iowa. I took 2 different routes, one there, one back. Lots of pheasants. My goodness, did I see a lot of pheasants. Western Minnesota, Iowa, South Dakota. Pheasants are out in the field everywhere. And now people say, wow, they're doing all right out there. You don't want pheasants to be out in the middle of a wide open field. Even if they are finding food out there, that's like, think about the number one predator that a pheasant faces. It is a hawk or a bird of prey, typically, that does them in, if it's not my shotgun. But, yeah. So they're very susceptible to those attacks out there. It's just not great. They're on the side of the road. Obviously, they're stressed. This snowpack is not good for anything. We did have a little bit of a melt this past weekend. That is helpful. But now we look outside and it's crap falling out of the sky again. Tired of it, Brandon.
I am sick of it.
I'm praying for the birds.
All right.
And the deer.
Let's sign a petition against the snow.
All right. Anyway, I haven't listened to it yet, but Bob St. Pierre did a podcast on the effects of the severe winter, and they did a tour from Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota with Matt Morlock and Rachel Bush. And I'm going to try to listen to that. I'm anticipating some negative news out of that. I think our listeners would enjoy that On the Wing podcast as well from them. But don't tune to that until you're done with ours, because we have a good show today. We've got Mark Norquist here from Modern Carnivore. Before I introduce Mark, I do want to cover a couple of other things. Sorry for keeping you hanging over there, Mark. We will be at Pheasant Fest, obviously. We are almost ready to finalize our live show, and I've got a game show I'm really excited about, Brandon. I know you're like, all right, let's see.
Let's get the music ready.
Yeah, I know, exactly. It's going to be a lot of fun, and interaction from our listeners will be paramount, and you'll win things, I think.
Perfect.
Yeah. So it's in the works. We'll probably announce it at the next week's show, maybe at the live show.
Okay.
But I'm also going to be doing a couple of performances. They're not performances, Brandon. I'll be speaking on the stage Friday and Saturday at the Public Lands Pavilion.
Cool.
The schedule for Pheasant Fest has everything laid out pretty orderly. You can go to, I think, pheasantfest.org, or just go to Pheasants Forever, and you're going to get information on the show. You'll see when everyone's speaking. There's going to be a lot of great topics. I'm going to do my best to entertain or educate or inspire, maybe all three. I'm not going to dance, and I won't sing. I promise all those things.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to show up then.
Oh,
I was expecting singing and dancing the entire time.
Okay. Anyway, we're looking forward to that, and it'll be here before we know it. And we have a film that we are airing the night before, kind of kicks off Pheasant Fest. It's a Pheasants Forever's putting on a film festival, and we are submitting or playing a film that we put together from one of our hunts this past season. Mark Norquist, I mentioned, is our guest. I just gave Mark a little sneak peek of the first minute 20. And thoughts based on that? Are you inspired?
I'm very inspired. Yeah, I've wanted to get up there and hunt those birds for a long time, and it looks great. I can't wait to see the whole thing. I've already got my VIP tickets for the film.
Oh, you're going to be there?
Oh, absolutely, man. I wouldn't miss it.
All right. Well, we'll leave you hanging. It's a cliffhanger. Yes, there we go. A couple of listener questions before we jump into the conversation with Mark. This one comes from Dave Saxland, I believe that's pronounced. Will you be offering shows on YouTube TV in the future? What an excellent question, Dave, because we just started uploading our shows from this past season to our YouTube channel in their entirety. So if you're a cord cutter and you don't watch TV or have the outdoor channel, you can watch our shows right now. They're streaming in their entirety on our YouTube channel. If you go to the Flush page, there's a link for YouTube, and you can subscribe and get a notification. I'm pretty sure we're doing one show a week. So it kind of feels like you're watching, a show that's being released. And then you can sit down, pop some popcorn at home and watch our hunts unfold if you so choose. Or if you don't feel like working and you want to kill a half hour of your day at the office, you can pull it up there too. That's what Scott Franzen does all the time. I bust him doing it all the time. I'm like, get back to work. Paul asks, hey, Travis, thanks for turning me onto those Wells Lamont gloves. Well, so a while back, Paul asked what kind of gloves I wear. Anyway, picked up a pair several days ago and went to my local game farm to try them out. Very soft and supple, he said. No issue working my safety trigger or loading shells. I wish they made an insulated version for colder weather. Do they? Do you guys have plans for more shows? Well, yes, we are currently working on editing our shows for next season. And yes, Wells Lamont does make an insulated version of those deer skin gloves. Now, there's a lot of leather gloves out there. Never heard my hunting gloves referred to as soft and supple before, but now I
actually own a pair of the exact same gloves, and they are soft and supple.
They are, yeah. So they're deer skin. And believe it or not, I'm always amazed at this, and this is the reason why I read this question. The number one question that we get asked, what kind of gloves are you wearing? I have been asked that question. I can't even count how many times. Like, every time a show airs, we get emails from viewers, and it's the number one question. Sometimes it's several a week come in. But what kind of gloves are you wearing? And it's like been in the thousands of times that I've maybe been asked how many or what kind of gloves I'm wearing. So that's why I tell people about these gloves, because they're soft and supple.
They're soft and supple.
Even if you didn't know it.
Yeah.
Well, because leather, some cowhide can be really, it's hard to touch your controls on your Garmin and operate everything on the touch screens. You can do all that.
The deer, it feels like a second skin. It is really nice.
It's really nice.
It is, yeah.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
So I love it, Paul. They're soft and supple. I'm glad you like it too. Yes, new shows. We're working on editing them as we speak. We will have those. How the network works on the Outdoor Channel, we air second half of the year through the fall. So it starts in July, August, September, then goes October, November, December. New season will be out next year. Jason asks, on one of your shows, a guest that was from Germany cooked up the pheasants using his Jager Schnitzel recipe, and it looked delicious. I'm wondering if there's any chance I could get that recipe somehow. Please let me know. This actually, Mark, could be a good segue into our conversation.
I bet it was Simon, wasn't it?
It was Simon Tika. That was some of the most amazing pheasant I have ever eaten. I did ask Simon, and he does not have that recipe online anywhere, but you should put it on your site, and we'll get into that in a second. We're going to come back to that question, Jason. Brian asks, hello, guys. I watch nearly every show that you have on YouTube and recent shows on TV. I will say they're all great, and thanks. Well, Brian, thank you. I was wondering, you switch from a semi-auto to an over-under in different gauges, and I know sometimes it's smaller gauges for smaller birds. Which do you prefer, 12, 20, and I see now the 16 and semi-auto or over-under? I've shot sporting clays for some time now, but I would like to get into upland hunting and would like to know how to get started. Thanks again, Brian. Oh, gosh. That is a very common question, too. I know it's not just myself that gets that question asked, but there's excellent ammunition available today that makes all of our different gauges, including the sub gauges, lethal. I think the question that you want to ask yourself before you go into the field is, the goal should always be to make a clean, ethical kill shot. And there are times of the year that I switch, and I have fallen madly in love with the Benelli 828U 20 gauge. I change out chokes depending on the birds that I'm after and the shot size, whether it's, a grouse, rough grouse and woodcock. I'm probably going to go with as wide open of a choke as I can get. I'm shooting an 8-shot, maybe even a 9-shot. You don't need a heavy shot in there. But then, if I'm hunting late season pheasants, there are times where I want 3 shots and I want to be able to back that shot up. And that's why I might go to the semi-auto 12 gauge. I have so much confidence in that gun. My goal always, and I think every hunter's goal should be to take a clean kill, ethical kill shot every single time. So I adjust based on the conditions, the weather, what the birds are doing, how they're holding. I bring a 12, a 20, and sometimes a 16 with me in the field on every trip so that I can make that adjustment. I do want a light gun, as light as possible, and that's why I love that 828U from Benelli, over under. Usually 2 shots I feel like is pretty good. And I can carry that thing for miles and miles and miles, up mountains, through valleys, and everywhere in between. I just feel like that 20 gauge is like, if I had to pick just one, based on all the variety of birds, the fact that I like woodcock and ruffed grouse and quail and pheasants and everything. The 20 does it all. But the 12 will do it all too. So it's not like here's the one gun. That's why there are all these guns out there. At the end of the day, you need to decide which gun fits you and which gun you have confidence in to take into the field, to take a shot where when you hit the bird, you can bring it down and bring it back to hand. You don't want to lose a bird. I just am always sick to my stomach with it. And there are times, like I said, where those pheasants are getting up further away. I want a little more punch. I tighten up my choke a little bit. And heck, even having a third shot in the chamber doesn't hurt when a bird that might get sailed, you have a chance to take it down. So there you go. I guess, I don't know. Mark, do you feel like that sums that up okay?
I think it does. I think that's a great perspective. I think it's such a personal preference.
It really is. And you have to, if like Brian says, he's been shooting sporting clays. So, I feel like take that gun.
Exactly.
You probably have a great relationship with that. I always tell my buddies, I've got a really good relationship with this gun right now, or a bad one, depending on how I'm doing there. But I'm assuming if you've shot sporting clays, take that gun out.
I've got a 20 over under that I want to be able to, it's a 20 gauge. I want to be able to shoot it well. I don't shoot it well. When I want to make sure that I'm going to bring that bird down very humanely, I've got my Browning 12 gauge semi-auto I've had for 20 years. That is just my go-to gun.
You have a good relationship.
Yeah, I have a very good relationship with it. So, but that's just my personal, that's for me. It's that one gun, and it's different for everybody, I think.
All right, Mark Norquist, appreciate you coming into the office on this blizzard. Blizzard 74 of the season in Minnesota here. You live in Minnesota. We're not too far away, actually, probably 15 minutes away. But you, if somebody says, Mark, what do you do? What do you tell them?
That's a good question. Do a lot of things, but professionally, I always say, I do marketing and media. Is a lot of what I do, and related to the outdoors oftentimes. And so, and how we use those is in education primarily. So rather than entertainment, how do we help educate people on the outdoors, and specifically activities that result in food, things you can eat. Yeah. So think hunting, fishing, foraging.
And the name of your organization is called Modern Carnivore. When did you start that?
It was about 12 years ago.
That long already?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I know. It's crazy. Time flies. Yeah. It was, at the time I was working in the marketing world, and I worked with a lot of organic and natural foods companies. And I've always been a hunter my whole life. And I was really sort of bummed out about watching these trend lines of participation with hunting and seeing declines. And I looked at it and said, that is something that's it's so much a part of my identity, my lifestyle, my families, my friends. It's really sort of depressing to see this decline. And the work I was doing professionally was with these organic and natural food companies. And there was all these people around the country that were interested in connecting with their food, understanding about their food more. And one day the light bulb went on, and I said, I think there's an opportunity to introduce people who have that interest in their food to the idea of hunting, because they're maybe like raising chickens in their backyard already. They're doing little gardens, they're things like that. And so that's what we did, is we looked at how do we break down barriers, because there are a lot of barriers to hunting. And so introducing people like that to
using food to lure people in. Everyone's got to eat.
Exactly. I always said we do research. We did research study years ago, and we found that everybody we want to engage, that they eat. And so the rest of them we don't worry about.
Brilliant. If you don't eat, this is not your podcast. Sorry.
Exactly.
Well, how does the organization work? Like, how do you, is it today is it the same organization today as it was 12 years ago when you started? I'm sure it's evolved over time, but essentially tell us, how does it work?
Yeah, no, it's good question. It is different than when it started. When I originally concepted it, it was, to be honest, it was this very linear model. As a behavioral marketer is the work that I used to do professionally. I'd looked at it and said, how do we get somebody interested in hunting. And it was taking them down a path of, okay, let's look at natural foods. Let's look at organic or grass-fed beef. Let's look at, farm, pasture-raised chickens, et cetera. Get them understanding why those things are important. Eventually bring them over to foraging, then get them into fishing, ultimately into hunting, the granddaddy, because now we've got firearms and things like that, which a lot of people aren't familiar with. What I found was, and what happened over time was, everybody wanted to jump all the way to the hunting conversation.
They wanted to get to it right away.
They wanted to get to it right away.
Are you saying non-hunters?
Non-hunters, exactly. They were intrigued with, and another thing that they were really intrigued with that I learned over time, and I wouldn't have thought this 20 years ago if you would have asked me, a lot of people are intrigued with the idea of butchering an animal and field dressing it and then turning it into meat. And so we've done, butchering clinics where we take deer, and we've done different animals where we'll have people come in and watch, and a butcher take this animal apart and then also participate.
From taking skinning it all the way down.
Skinning it all the way down, all the way through,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And there are people that have come to those events that say, you know what? I really don't think I'll ever become a hunter, but I'm fascinated with how this works and I want to see it.
Do you ask them then, why don't you want to become a hunter when they tell you that?
I do, but I also don't want to push it too much. The one thing that's challenging with this is it's a fine line to walk always. You don't want to pressure somebody into it because it's a big deal, the decision to kill another living being for most people. That's a very heavy, weighty subject.
Yeah.
And so I'd rather have them come and see this and then have a meal of wild game, maybe for the first time, and go, wow, there's flavors in there I've never experienced before.
Right.
And then go, how do I do more? How do I?
So that's what gets them. Then you don't push it. You offer them the food. They taste it. They say, I want more of that. Well, how do I get my hands on that?
Exactly.
Well, funny you should ask.
Funny you should ask.
Well,
now,
you mentioned the butchering thing, and it's fascinating because I take my kids, or my buddies and I, we take our kids or anybody that wants to come with. We go hunting, and when I walk out with my knife to the deer meat pole, we call it the meat pole, and I start skinning. Every single kid at camp is like they're touching it, they're watching, they're just fascinated when we're cleaning grouse or ducks or whatever it is that we've harvested. They hold it, they touch it, they want to, like, there's some curiosity going on there, and then we've taught them how to cut the meat and where to go and how to do it. Now they're doing it, and then when they eat it, they're all just like, we were all, remember when and then they're talking about, and like there's just something that I don't really know how to explain that. It's instinctive. It's within us.
Exactly. I think
maybe
that's
primal is a way of saying it.
Absolutely. I think it's natural, it's normal, and it's inherent in us. I could share the same stories of when we've been doing these butchering clinics, and I've done them sometimes in my garage, or just when I've had a deer on my own after deer season, I'm cutting it up. And when my kids were small, absolutely, my son was fascinated with the bones. He would come and steal the bones, and he'd inspect them and look at them, and he'd ask if he could keep one. And so, there's something innately natural and inherent to it, that whether it's primal or what have you, and that's the thing that I think we've gotten away from in modern society, and what I'm trying to introduce people to. You think about what is meat. It's a product that's wrapped under cellophane, sitting on this styrofoam plate.
It just appears that way.
There was, I remember a few years ago, a friend told me they had their child's neighborhood friend was over for dinner, and they made baked potatoes. And the kids said, "What are these?" And they had to explain that these are the same as French fries, but this is where French fries come from. Now, maybe that story was embellished a little bit, but it's just stuck with me and just sort of threw me because, again, I just think we've in our very insulated urban suburban societies that we're predominantly continuing to migrate towards, we create these insulation layers between the natural world and us. And I believe that the more we do that, the more the natural draw, like your kids interested in cutting meat, is going to get stronger because we're meant to stay connected to the natural world. And hunting is one of the ways to do that in the most intimate, personal ways. You know, you're truly taking this animal into your body. I mean, it doesn't get any more personal than that.
It doesn't. Which I also think there are times when a lot of hunters have the opportunity to elicit those questions from non-hunters. If, let's say, they have friends over for a football game and they're going to make pheasant poppers or something like that, where it's pretty easy to make that and most everybody's going to like it. But it's also, when you have the opportunity to feed somebody wild game that you harvested, I feel like, I don't want to put pressure on anybody, but like the opportunity to make it well, so it's really good. Don't overcook it, because that's where it continues this gamey. Oh, wild game is gamey. You know, it's like, make sure not to overcook that meat if you have a first timer, because that might be the one and only chance you have for them to really understand or be fascinated with or inquisitive about, how did you get this? Maybe I want to be a part of this someday. Or hunters aren't all that bad.
You know, you touch on one of the obstacles to getting started in hunting that we try to address and try to break down, which is, you know, we've historically got a culture within the hunting community that's very individualistic, and or if it's communal with your inner circle, close friends, traditionally family. And we don't want to share too much, because then they're going to be competing for the same game, the same locations maybe that we're going to. And that's a challenge. And I think it you know, as you said, I think it would be good if all of us thought a little bit more about that, and how can we open that up and look for opportunities to get people appreciative of hunting. Because here's the thing, like you said, you know, there are a lot of people who don't necessarily appreciate what hunters do, or maybe have a negative view. And food is a great way to open up that conversation and to share why you love to hunt. And not everybody wants to or should become a hunter, but at least if they appreciate and have an appreciation for what hunting is in the right way, that's wonderful, because there's a lot of misinformation, and there's a lot of lack of understanding out there in the broader population about what hunting is.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. What is offered, maybe I should ask, at Modern Carnivore? How do you go about, like, or maybe how do I rephrase this? What does a normal work week look like for you at the organization?
Yeah, there's not a normal work week,
bet
really.
not.
No.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at the last year or so, you know, we've launched new courses on our online learning platform. So that's sort of the core of our offering, if you will. It's called Hunting Camp Live. The URL is huntingcamp.live. And that's where it's self-paced video courses where you can learn about introduction to waterfowl hunting, introduction to upland bird hunting, et cetera. And so that's really a core of it, where we're doing, you know, virtual events, conversations with individuals, connecting people with coaches, with hunting coaches who can help them one-on-one in support with the curriculum, connecting new hunters into their local communities, you know, finding a local Pheasants Forever chapter, Quail Forever chapter, et cetera. We also do live events. You know, this last year we did introduction to turkey hunting event with backcountry hunters and anglers. We did an introduction to grouse and woodcock hunting with Minnesota
Rough Grouse Society?
Not with Rough Grouse Society, but with Minnesota Land Trust. We did a waterfowl course with the SCI Foundation. And so a lot of different, so we do a lot of partnerships with these conservation groups that have local communities around the country, where we can then plug people into those groups. But we'll provide the education to give them the foundation to start with. So it's really, you know, it's those events, but we try to do a lot of virtual things. both from the standpoint of that's where our sweet spot is in terms of creating that digital learning assets, but then also for people with busy schedules, they can do online video-based courses that are very meaningful, that have good stories around them to make it interesting, but they can also do it at their own pace. So, maybe they have an hour on Tuesday night. They're like, hey, I'm going to go watch a few courses. Mm-hmm. Then 2 weeks from now on a Saturday, I've got a chunk of time.
So I think most people listening right now already hunt.
Right.
Most people. So we might not be talking to the person that's going to go to that site right now to learn more about it. Maybe. I'm not saying we won't, but I think most of the people listen to this hunt. I shouldn't even say that, actually, because, listen to that question from Sporting Clay.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. You're
so maybe I'm wrong there, but I know a lot of the people listening here are already hunters. There are other people that they know, perhaps, that would like to get into hunting. And I say that because I have those people. As a hunter, I feel like my role, bringing kids, bringing friends that don't hunt, I'm always trying to help other people. But so much of hunting is like, I need you to come with for a season. I can't just take you out there for an hour, one hunt. Okay, you're set for life. You know everything. Like, there's so much to know. And I have friends that they reach out and they want to get their sons into hunting, or their kids have said, I want to go hunting because they've seen my kids or their friends or whatever. And then they'll say, I don't know anything about it. Can you help me? And I say, oh man, there's so much that I want to help you with, but I'm in Kansas right now, or whatever. I only have so much time. So then I guess what I'm getting at is maybe I should be sending them to Modern Carnivore.
Sounds good to me.
You know what I mean? Like, that's something that a lot of us can do here, because we don't all have the capabilities. We might already be investing in other people, trying to help them. And if you're saying, gosh, I know there's more places. That's, I guess, why I wanted to have this conversation with you today, is I want to give people more resources to help out. And that's what you're doing right here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you having that perspective on it. And that's what I would tell people who are listening, who are existing hunters. We do have the content that'd be relevant for people who hunt already would be the recipes, which is the other part of, on our blog, we've got all kinds of interesting recipes, for upland birds, for waterfowl, for venison, for
Do you have a
fish.
favorite for birds?
For birds, oh man, for birds, the bird of choice for me, I just think you can't beat ruffed grouse.
Right.
And I love to take those breasts and to just sear them very quickly and keep them tender. And then I love to slow cook the carcass and the legs and thighs and use that shredded up for maybe some tacos or some type of a pasta sauce. And then use the carcass for stock to make then a soup.
Yeah.
If I've got enough meat.
Yeah. You mentioned using different parts of the bird. I think it's pretty common knowledge that a lot of hunters, I'm not going to give a percentage, I don't know how many, rip the feathers off, take the breasts, and cook the breasts, and everything else gets tossed. And I'm not, holier than thou saying I've never done that either. I do appreciate all the different parts of the edible bird, and an example is last week we're down in Kansas, and George was making up a quail recipe, and I took all the legs. And I said, I'm making hors d'oeuvres. And I made them out of all the quail legs.
Awesome.
And everyone was like, oh my goodness, I am never, ever going to throw a leg out again. And there are a lot of, even woodcock.
Absolutely.
Some of the best meat I've eaten this year was woodcock. And we were talking earlier, ptarmigan.
Right.
The meat is so good if you prepare it in a good way and you don't overcook it. And there are a lot of recipes out there. So that's a great resource that you have as well. Different recipes that you provide. I hope you've bagged a few pheasants, grouse, and quail this season. Maybe even a few ducks, geese, and deer too. Whatever you're hunting for, Walton's can help you finish the hunting process, bringing your wild game full circle. Whether you need to mix, grind, or stuff, Walton's will surely have your new favorite pieces of meat processing equipment. Don't spoil your hard work in the field by letting that meat get freezer burned. Save right now on vacuum sealers and bags. Bag up your birds, your jerky, snack sticks, and summer sausage, and have your meat last all year for long-term storage. Find everything, and I mean everything, you need to process and prepare your meat at waltons.com. And while you're there, sign up for their free monthly giveaways and check out what John Tremblay and the Waltons team is working on in their Meatgistics community. Waltons, they have everything but the meat. I love my dog, and like you, I always want to make sure that she has what she needs to stay healthy year-round and perform at her best in the field. That's why I feed Daisy Nutrisource high-performance dog food. Nutrisource dog food comes with their Good for Life system that includes 4 key ingredients that work together to support gut health, heart health, and the overall well-being of our dogs. I have complete confidence that my dog has all of the nutrition to excel in the field and make it through a rigorous hunting season. I've seen it firsthand, and she loves her food. Take it from me and my dog Daisy. Nutrisource high-performance dog food can help your dog reach their full potential. Find the food that's right for your dog at NutrisourcePetFoods.com. If you're an outdoor lover on the go, then odds are good that you have toys and equipment that you want to haul. Aluma Trailers, well, they've got you covered. Their trailers are built by a hardworking team in Bancroft, Iowa. They have models for nearly any and every hauling need, from ATV and UTV trailers to utility, snowmobile, motorcycle, car trailers, and even fully enclosed trailers like mine. Trust me when I say that Aluma Trailers tow like a dream. Their trailers are constructed out of lightweight, strong, corrosion-resistant aluminum, and they are 100% maintenance-free. Plus, they come with an industry-best 5-year warranty. Visit alumaklm.com to find a trailer that fits your needs. What are some of your biggest challenges that you face with the organization that you run?
Yeah. One of the biggest challenges is, to be honest, is getting the word out, like we just talked about, within the existing hunting community, to say, hey, have those conversations and then point people to resources like what we have. There's a lot of resources out there. I obviously am biased and feel like we've got some of the best. And then, just the natural challenge with getting somebody into hunting is exactly what you said, is it's a multi-year commitment. And that's where in the past we've gone wrong, I think. There have been a lot of, over the years, what would be called hunter recruitment events, which were primarily focused on kids. Side commentary, usually kids in hunting families who were going to hunt anyways, so it really wasn't recruitment. But it was also generally one-day events where, hey, we take them to it. And we do one-day events too sometimes. And that's a great introduction, but that's just the starting point. And as you said, it's a long process now. And so that's one of the things that we are always working with somebody on to say, okay, let's say it's July or August now, and you're like, hey, you know what? My buddies go hunting every year, or I know of people who hunt. I want to learn how. Wonderful. Let's get you into one of our online courses. You're going to walk that through. Let's now, this service we just launched this last year, Hunting Coaches, which is setting you up with a coach one-on-one through virtual engagement, where you're able to ask the questions that you just watched a course and it's all about the different types of upland guns, actions. You're like, okay, I think that this break action is an idea, but I know I have my brother's got a pump. Could I use a pump? Yes, let's talk about that. The questions like, that you had this morning here. Yeah. But it's having that long-term view of it. That's a challenge, is in staying with that person and keeping that person motivated. And I'll tell you, there are some people that we've taken events and we've stayed with them for years, and it's just hard to keep them focused on it because they're busy in life. There are other people that come to one event and they're done, hooked. Man. They are hooked for life. Yeah. And they are already, like, I've seen people within 18 months move. I've been hunting 40 years. I've seen people that in 18 months are more knowledgeable on certain areas of hunting than I'd ever hope to be, just because they've gone so deep. Yeah. And that's exciting to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, to take that too. I mean, we have mutual friends that didn't hunt 5 years ago. And they are
exactly.
Like Simon, who had that amazing Jagerschnitzel recipe. Like, he's an incredible chef, but he didn't hunt growing up.
No.
And, now he's hunted birds all over the country. He hunts more than most people, he hunts more in a year than most people do in 10.
Right.
And he's super knowledgeable, hunting all kinds of different animals, birds. Some people, or Kang Yang, he's another one too. We've had him on this show. He's going to have a film I saw
He
at
is.
Pheasant Fest. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see that
Yeah.
one too. I mean, like he dives so hard into it. Some people, when they get to experience it, it's like this childlike joy in the experience, and others that I know as well, where they're like, oh, that was awesome. But then all of a sudden they've got kids doing this and soccer and basketball, and they don't have time or make time. And that's a challenge that eventually causes them to fade away from it, which I like. Some people I want to say that they're like, well, I gotta priorities. And in my mind, sometimes I think, well, what if your priorities could become their priorities?
Yeah.
So what is a real priority? Is that basketball really the priority? Like we can't go fishing today because we got basketball practice. And I get it. But when the comments I hear back sometimes are like, well, I'm making their priorities. They're making, like that's the priority. And I'm thinking maybe that is the wrong way of thinking. Just a thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is such similar to the gun question from your listener. It's a very personal decision you need to make as to what's right. I'll give you a perfect illustration of exactly what you just said. This last weekend, my son, he's on the ski team, on the Nordic ski team for our school district. And he had a race last Saturday, and we were also supposed to be up north going ice fishing. I made the choice. I said, you know what? Weighing all things, and it's just, it's sort of a gut feel of you're going to miss that meet, and he was fine with that, and we're going ice fishing
Good for
instead.
you.
And I think those are
that's
exactly
a tough
like
thing
you
to
said.
do.
It is a tough thing to do.
You gotta, it's a tough thing to do because then you're gonna let down kids on the team.
And if exactly. And it is really tough. Now he's only in 8th grade right now. So I could see where, when he's a junior or senior, it might be where like, you got to be at every one because the team is totally counting on you to get to state or what have you.
Sure.
But again, that's a judgment call you have to make. And also taking into account with the kid, with him, I asked him, I said, hey, what do you want to do? I said, you could do either. I'll go either way.
Mm-hmm.
And he made the choice, which again, now we get into the discussion of, okay, if from a parenting standpoint of what long-term in life is going to last. And that's where this is a lifestyle. These are activities that you do for your whole life and have a lot of deep meaning, not taking away from the sports and the other activities. Those are important. But I think you could elevate this to being just as important.
I think I mentioned this maybe a few months ago on this podcast, but I really want to somehow propose to the state. There are 2 days every year that you can't have sports. Only 2. You get 363 other days, but 2 of them because I live in Minnesota, I want to keep the fishing opener and the deer hunting opener as non-sporting days because even if you only take your kid fishing one time, if it's with your fishing up at, wherever you go fishing, like there's something about that, or to deer camp. When you're at camp, like there's something about all of the experiences. It's different than on a Tuesday afternoon going and sitting in a deer blind with your kid. There's something about going to camp. And yes, I'd love for it to be pheasant opener too, but let's be honest, there's 500,000 deer hunters in this state alone that will go into the woods. And now my son this year, he's very young, but 8-year-old, his hockey team started on the deer opener this year. And I'm pretty sure that for every deer opener to come, he's going to have to miss a hockey game, or maybe it's a football game. And I don't want him to miss fishing opener because he's got a soccer game or a baseball game or something like that. It's just 2 days. Some states, they close schools down.
Right. They used to do that here in Minnesota.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there was, and you don't know when that moment will be. I like the idea of those 2 days. Let's jump on.
Do we have
that.
enough pull in Minnesota?
Let's do it, man.
This?
I think,
We know some
we
people.
can do it. Exactly.
Brandon, we slide some money under the table.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah,
think?
easy. You got this,
Easily done. Look for it in 2024. We're on to something here. But seriously, the value of that time spent, versus another practice on a Saturday morning. I don't know. It's just how I feel about it.
October 13th, 2022. No, excuse me. October 16th, 2022. I just looked at my calendar. Is the day that I will always remember. I looked at my son. We were in the duck blind in North Dakota, and I knew he was finally a duck hunter for life. He's been hunting for several years, duck hunting for several years. And there was a moment I looked in his eyes after he dropped this greenhead, and I saw what was a lifelong mission now to be a duck hunter. And that took several years. And so who knows when that'll be.
I have goosebumps. What happened?
We had a great hunt that morning, and we had some greenheads coming in, and he dropped one. It was so funny because he shoots a little 28 gauge pump. And I had changed out the choke the night before. Yes, the day before, he was shooting a cripple out on the water, and I saw the pattern. I said, you know what? I think that's a little wide. I think we're gonna switch out your choke. I'm gonna change it out tonight. And so he switched out the choke, and the next morning he dropped that first bird, and he looked at me. He's like, Dad, that choke is great.
That's so awesome. I don't remember, Brandon, maybe I've told this story too, but we were up north at our kids' camp over MEA this year. And we're out in the duck blind. We had deer hunted, we had grouse and woodcock hunted, and we also duck hunted. And so we have, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids or 6 kids in an A-frame and layout blinds. We put it all together. They were mallards and geese landing in this field, in this stubble field. And so we're all hiding in there. And we had my son, he's 8, and we had another 8-year-old. They were shooting. And then my nephew, who's 10. And so we had them spaced, child, adult in the A-frame, and only allowing safe shots. We're really working on all of this. This is a big deal for these kids, right? And I had taken my son and nephew out on the opener, and they each got their first duck. One in the air, one on the water. But when you have a chance, like that kind of like, I know as you get older, you don't water
spank them.
Yeah, exactly. But for the first one,
absolutely,
you let him do that.
Absolutely,
and he got it, and that was a prize. So anyway, we're sitting in this field. We have this flock of mallards, maybe 50 mallards, working us in this field, and circles comes down, and they're going to make the next big loop because we watched the first flock and just the adults shot. We want other kids to watch. No kids, no shells in your gun. You can pull up when we do practice, but the next flock will be yours to shoot at. Well, they all have hearing protection on, and I'm sitting next to my son. I'm just to his right, and I'm whispering as I see this big flock coming to make the big loop around. You know how mallards like to do. They'll swing 3-4 times sometimes. And one mallard comes in ahead of everybody, way ahead of everybody, and is hovering over the top of a spinning wing out there. My son, and I go, wait for it. Just wait, here they come. And as I'm saying that, I'm looking at the bird. I don't see him pull up and go, boom, and just drop this greenhead. All the whole flock flares. Everyone looks over like, what the heck? But my son was pumped. First bird out of the air.
Oh my gosh, that is great.
And he's like, yes, and the joy, and all the other kids, they didn't care about all the other birds that got away. All the dads were like, we could have had 20 there. But as soon as they knew that it was this 8-year-old that pulls up and takes this bird out, it went from like, what the? Yeah, buddy, you got it. And I will never forget that moment. I don't know if that's the moment like you just mentioned, October 16th, 2022. But hey, it actually might have been October 16th. Was it a Saturday?
Right, Sunday. It was a Sunday morning.
That could have been. I don't know. Actually, I think mine was a Saturday. I think it was October 15th. What a monumental weekend it was.
Right.
Anyway, gosh, stories
Let's
are great.
push for 2 days. 2 days. No sports in the state.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Well,
let's get it into legislation.
I'm on board. I know some people. I think I've got you on board. I got at least 2. Brandon, you're on board. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Okay, he's in. All right, perfect. Okay, let's get back to Modern Carnivore. So where do you find these people? Where do they come from? The people that
Really
are
good
taking
question.
the courses.
Yeah. I mean, all walks of life and different perspectives, but a lot of them are they live in urban areas. They've never been given the opportunity before.
How do they find you?
So, I mean, there's, that's where
You
it
got
comes
flyers
to,
hanging up
Yeah, I got
on
exactly.
the
I'm down on the street corner handing out flyers. It's really, in this age of social media, that's how we bank on a lot of the exposure. So people come to us from all areas of the country, and I'll often ask them, it's like, how did you find out about us? Being a guest on a podcast like this one, social media, Instagram, Facebook, things like that, YouTube, being on TV shows. We were, last year on Minnesota Bound. You came down to our one event.
Yeah. So Rennell.
Yeah, Rennell.
So he's a perfect example.
Yeah,
Where
absolutely.
did he come from?
So I'll give you the exact Rennell story. So Rennell, and we've even got somebody else now who's a friend of Rennell's, who's a woman named Cheka.
Okay.
Who's brand new, who's just went out on her first hunt a month and a half ago, Wisconsin deer hunting. They're both butchers at the local co-op in Minneapolis. They're in the heart of Minneapolis, okay?
Uh-huh.
Working at Seward Co-op, and a friend of mine, Eric Jensen, who's affiliated with, he started the Minnesota chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, frequents that co-op, and would go in there to get fat back for his sausage making, for his venison sausage. And he'd go in and he'd be like, "You got any fat?" And one day Rennell, who's the butcher, one of the butchers there, he looks at Eric, he goes, "What do you do with all this fat?" And Eric said, "Perfect opportunity, like you talked about earlier, Travis. Open door. Well, let me tell you what I do with this fat. I'm a hunter, and I go and I hunt deer, and I just got a deer, and so I'm going to make sausages, and you need to do a good grind mix of some good pork fat with that very lean venison." Interesting. Eric, you want to go hunting sometime? Sure. So Eric takes him out hunting. Deer hunting up in northern Minnesota. They hike way back. Like, I'm surprised Rennell has been sticking with it, because he took him on a hardcore deer hunt. Like, they went like 2 miles back, packed
and maybe
in,
that's
and did a
why
wall
he's
tent.
stuck
It very well could be. Got a deer. We've got an episode of the Modern Carnivore podcast where he got his first deer. Those guys called me, and I went over and helped him a little bit butchering, but we recorded a podcast right after. And so Rennell shares his story. Then this last year, we 2 years ago, actually, was it the year before, did a squirrel hunt with him.
Mm-hmm.
He bought his first shotgun. Was getting ready to do a turkey hunt this last year. I'm trying to remember if he did one or not, but he's into it. So that's a perfect example. Rennell, somebody who hunting was not on his radar at all, but he's a butcher. He's curious about meat. What's going on?
That's interesting that you choose to be a butcher.
Well, I think it's a good example of what we were talking about earlier, of people who are like, yeah, you know what? And especially like at a co-op, those are people where they're sourcing their meat from a lot of smaller operations. I got a friend up in northern Minnesota started a heritage pork operation years ago that's just like gotten gangbusters. He's actually sold the farm now. It's been featured in like Food and Wine, Spectator, because of the quality of the meat. So I think those are the types of places that are sourcing there. So they're interested in meat. If they're going to eat meat, might as well be good meat that's responsibly raised and high quality.
Yeah.
Again, it's a transition into a conversation about hunting.
Totally. Brandon, your role at Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Prior to doing this, and did any of the food aspect ever trigger you into thinking about where that meat came from?
Not particularly. No, I mean, I know they're a place that does the local thing, and they do get from small farms and everything like that. But I mean, not specifically. But I mean, as to like why a butcher would exist in a city without hunting. I mean, think about like New York, a big urban environment where there's been butchers around for decades upon decades, passed down through the family or whatever. It's just a trade. So, I mean, you get it in, you cut it up, and you don't really think about where it comes from. So I could see where they'd be curious and just get introduced into it.
Sure.
Like
I mean,
that
I
sort of
grew
life.
up on a farm, born on a farm. My parents butchered. I remember butchering pigs, venison, everything. I just remember making our own sausage. I've to this day still use some of those old recipes, and I still just like I remember like the sights and the smells and everything about it. It's just something to me. It's just a part of the whole experience. But I associate all that with the hunt so much.
Well, and that's where you take somebody like Rennell or Cheka, his friend. She was actually the manager of the meat department at that time. She's since left. She's now doing butchering classes, and she connected. I'm trying to remember how we connected through Rennell, and she's like, I want to learn to hunt now. And so I think it's an aspect of where somebody, for like in the example of these two people, they love cutting meat in this domestic, with these domestic animals.
Mm-hmm.
This idea of hunting is like take what they're doing now, but add a sense of adventure to it, and like actually sourcing it themselves in this wild, original way of getting meat. And that's why
they love it so much.
Exactly. They're just fascinated by it. And that's the name Modern Carnivore. It's like take those things that are ancient traditions, but it's in a modern way. It's like reconnect.
Love it.
See, yeah, for me, like hunting, like I got more interested in hunting through watching like cooking shows, like way back in the day, Anthony Bourdain, where he did his No Reservations, because you'd see him go off to a place, they'd eat every part of the animal, and you'd see how delicious the food could be made from whatever part of the animal. So that's what actually got me more curious into it, is just seeing like what you can eat from other parts that I'm not used to.
Yeah,
eating.
I mean, because how like chicken, pork, and beef, that's a staple for 90-some% of the population, and there's so much more out there.
And if you think of those flavors, they've become how those animals are raised. They've really, I think from the standpoint of efficiency and productization, they've brought in that just purely the flavor aspect of those meats. It's very centralized to a very basic flavor profile. You now introduce, think about a rough, I think rough grouse versus chicken. Like that to me is a great example of like, okay, try chicken.
I would take a rough grouse over a chicken every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. I always say, it's like when somebody says, what does rough grouse taste like? I'm like, tastes like chicken, only 100 times better with more flavor, just because it's something that's approachable.
When we actually, on our other TV show, Minnesota Bound, did a feature story on your Modern Carnivore with Rennell's squirrel hunting adventure, and you had chefs that were there during this hunt and other hunters too. We chose to follow Rennell kind of through the process as a first-time hunter. But where do you get these chefs?
Yeah. So on that show, that was Jamie Carlson. Jamie has become a good friend over the years. Lucas Leaf is also another one who does a lot of stuff with us. Lucas used to be a chef at a very highly rated Italian restaurant in the Twin Cities here, El Vento, that no longer exists. But Jamie is he calls himself a home cook that's just obsessed with wild ingredients. And so in that case, Jamie loves experimenting in different ways. So like, for that, we were doing different squirrel recipes. I'm trying to remember, he did was it like a squirrel tikka masala or a squirrel curry? He did a squirrel curry.
Yeah.
With wild rice.
Squirrels.
Yeah. Squirrels.
As a kid on the farm, we'd come back with rabbits and squirrels. And my grandma would cook up Hassenpfeffer.
Hassenpfeffer. There you go, man.
Yeah. Well, I have to imagine if you're looking for more people to sign up, you're probably looking for more volunteers to help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing with, if people are interested in helping coach new hunters, shoot me a note.
The snowplow just ran into our building.
It sounded like it.
I don't know. We're
coming through the wall.
Right, I think we're safe. If not, we're still alive. So it's keep the show rolling here. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. I just was making sure we were going to make it. People can't hear because of your amazing audio capabilities, Brandon.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah. But we just may have been attacked. Anyway. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's all right. So yeah, I mean that's how we've got people who have great recipes, cooks and chefs, and yeah, always looking for people who are interested in helping coach new hunters and things like that, and tying in, with the local communities.
Okay. So Pheasant Fest is coming up. I mentioned earlier that I'm going to be there. You will also be there.
I
Modern
will.
Carnivore will be there. What are you launching something new? We were talking briefly about this in the upland world. What are you calling it?
Yeah, so we have been, so this last fall, we were all over the country filming a new educational course that we're going to launch at the end of March, but we'll preview it at Pheasant Fest.
Okay.
And it's very, very simply called How to Hunt Upland Birds. And what we did was I travel around the country to hunt different species with different people to show not people that non-traditional hunters. There's very sort of this prototypical idea who an upland hunter is. I wanted to show people who might look, sound, hunt different ways than the typical. And so people can look and go, okay, wow, different areas of the country, different people that look different, and I can relate to that. I mean, if they could do it, maybe I can too. So we're hunting grouse in Maine with the Dyer family, who has this long history and traditions. We were hunting Bob Whites down in Georgia with Darrell Smith. We were hunting California quail in California with Ruben Mata. We were doing pheasants in North Dakota with Caleb Bendall and Kang Yang. Kang's part of this series.
He's everywhere.
He's everywhere.
Look,
Kang, you're everywhere.
Yeah. And Darrell too. I tell him
Yeah,
when I see him, I'm like, Darrell, I can't open up my phone without seeing you.
I know, exactly.
He's like,
The
"Oh,
two
man."
of them are semi-famous individuals that are everywhere these days.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly. But yeah, so we'll be previewing that at Pheasant Fest. I think we're in booth 1213, 1213. We were right around the corner from you guys last year. I'm guessing we'll be close again this year.
Yeah,
probably,
we're looking forward to it. It's in our hometown here. And then next year, heading back to South Dakota again. What? I ask this question pretty regularly, but what keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night? Probably the conservation challenges we've got with modern society, and its impact on the culture of hunting. Again, this trip I took around the country, I was able to see, the opportunities, but also some of the conservation threats we've got to habitat for these wild birds. I love hunting wild birds. With upland bird hunting, you can go to a game farm, you can release birds, and I think if you want to do that, that's wonderful. I do that. I look at it personally as a great training tool for new hunters and a great way to get out and swing the gun and just be out and do experience it. But it's not a wild hunt. I want to see wild hunts, into the future. And so I guess, my concern is threats to habitat for wildlife. Man, I can't wait to see this ptarmigan hunt because you were in the last great wild place of this country. And I mean, talk about being in a place where you see vast, untouched tracts of land.
Yeah.
We used to have that on our main continent, and it's
right.
And it's
I don't know where.
away.
I mean, there are places that I was talking to somebody about this the other day after coming back driving through Kansas, and there are places that still don't get many footprints.
Right. Absolutely.
And it does exist, but it's tough to find. Yeah, you mentioned that adventure up in Alaska, and for sure we were stepping on rocks that had never been stepped on before. And that,
Right.
like, to wrap your head around that, every once in a while I'll stop and I'll think about it, and I'm in a position to go and experience some of these and try to show people what exists out there, and I don't take that lightly. But I also, like, if I didn't do this, there's so much of me that would want to do that. If I wasn't doing this filming where we're going, so much of me would want to be able to work, save up, buy that plane ticket, go up there and do it, And I look at some of the trips that my friends and family, we go on outside of work, and I say, gosh, like, you could take your wife up there,
Absolutely.
It's a $450 ticket. We're not talking about a $2,000 ticket to
Is
Alaska.
that all your tickets were?
Yeah, it wasn't
gosh,
that
wow,
much,
that's
You know,
great.
and so I'm just like, these opportunities exist. Maybe right now is the time to look at next September and say, I kind of want to see what it's like to be in Alaska.
Yeah.
You know, and you might say, oh, I only need to save $1,000 or $1,500 or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, think about how much we spend on junk.
Yeah.
You know,
Junk. Truly.
And an experience is never like, I don't know, Brandon, what do you?
No, I'm all for that. I mean, I'd rather spend my money on a trip somewhere or for an experience than I would on random crap.
Yeah.
It's just worth more in my
Gifts
memory.
that you throw away or use once or twice. And it's like, oh, get an experience. You know, like just there's so many places out there and that
The whole
go.
FOMO, fear of missing out, should apply more to experiences than things. Like
Yeah.
you should be afraid to miss out on experiences while you're alive, as opposed to missing out on the cool limited edition whatever thing it is that's going to be popular on the internet for a day.
right, exactly. Yeah, it's not on sale.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, the places up there that you're in northern Minnesota, miles into the forest. That's where I took my son and my nephew, and for 4 days we sat in the woods, and they sat in the blind with me. We were over a mile into the forest, and I remember my dad when we went deer hunting. We would sit. You know, everyone's got these beautiful stands. You know, we cut off with a little saw some branches in a spruce tree and sat on the branches and sat there all day. You know, and doing some of those things that feel to me like that's a thing of the past. I was talking to a friend the other day about it. Like, at what point do you want to put the next generation through that struggle? It's because they have to appreciate what it's like to put yourself in that position instead of a well-manicured food plot and you've got a buddy heater sitting in your 360 blind, you know, and you walk out there and you're never actually cold. You never actually suffer. And you're probably scrolling through social media waiting for a deer to walk out. You pull the trigger.
You know, and you touch on that's the other thing that keeps me up at night, and they're related, which is, you know, sort of our lifestyles these days that are very comfortable. There's a guy, I forget the author's name. He wrote a book a few years ago called The Comfort Crisis. And he actually, in that book, talks about going out and hunting with some Inuit people. He's not a hunter, just to go out and get uncomfortable. And I think doing that, by doing those things, like getting people out into deep, wild places, it's not easy. And people, especially kids, might complain at first. And you got to work through that to get to the payoff, which is a moment in time where they go, oh, this is great. And it's universal. And it puts things in perspective. And I believe if we get more people to do that, I think they're going to value wild spaces, and we're going to have a better conservation community in the future. If we can look at both those.
So I've been trying to figure out how to wrap my head around a certain line that I've been trying to, like, what's the point of a project that I'm working on, separate from this conversation right now? But I've been waiting for it, and you just said it. In a world full of comfort, everything about that experience is uncomfortable, and that's the point.
That's the point. Absolutely.
So you're going to hear that line now, and I've been trying to wrap it, like, how do I sum this up? And there it is. That's
great.
The point.
You know, and it is, and I think in modern society, we've been conditioned to avoid and not look at things like death and discomfort. And it's the reality of life. The reality of life is death. Something has to die so you can live. And the reality of life for millennia has been, it's uncomfortable at times. And that makes the other times that much more wonderful. But we've created a society today that's so insulated from discomfort that, I mean, look, we're sitting in this room right now. It's perfect, 68, 69 degrees.
Nah, my office is in the back. For some reason, it's a little cooler, and I wear a vest back there, so I'm not always comfortable. Maybe that's why I feel it. I just feel it.
tough conditions back
Tough
there.
conditions to
tough
write a
one.
script
Tough.
back there. Holy cow. But now we're in this room.
Yeah.
And look at this
Look at
gem
that.
that we just
Look
came
at
up
that
with.
right there.
In a world full
Boom.
of comfort, everything about this adventure is uncomfortable. And that's the point. Huh. Well, we went a lot deeper than I thought we were going to go, Mark. But hey, maybe that's some good food for thought. Maybe our listeners enjoyed this. Modern Carnivore on social media is ModCarn, at ModCarn. On your website, they can find links to all these other activities and videos and learning courses. I think it's worth checking it out if you hunt. And then you'll know what you might be able to send somebody to learn more about if they ask a question about hunting. So that's our food for thought for today. Cook up something delicious and share it with somebody that's never eaten wild game. And when they ask you about it, now you've got resources at your hands. We will be back next week at Bear Cave Brewing in Hopkins, Minnesota, 7 o'clock. Come on out, bring your dogs. Love to see you, have you be a part of the show. It's been fun the last couple times that we've had these live shows. We have enjoyed them, and we look forward to this one. Even though it's the middle of winter and bird season is closed in Minnesota, we can still talk about it and enjoy it. And we hope to see you then. And then we'll be at Pheasant Fest. There's a lot coming up, and we're excited about all of it. We'll be back. Anything to add to that, Brandon?
No.
No?
No.
All right, I'm
I
gonna
feel
wrap
like
it.
we should have like that movie voice guy being like, in a world full of comfort. I'm just doing it that way. But that was just stuck in my head. That's all. I got
Mark,
nothing.
thanks for bearing. Just making it through the snowdrifts to get here. And you did it, and I'm grateful for your time.
Happy to do it, and thanks for having me on the show.
We'll be back next week with another episode of the Flush Podcast.